So once again, I welcome you all to this 84th session of Leadership Talks. So as you know that these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. India International Education Council aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education, which are approachable for all kids, finding best educational practices across the globe, and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. It also trying to create more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also impart training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. So as you all know that this is our 84th session. We have successfully conducted 83 sessions so far. During these sessions, we have received 7,624 registrations, 6,814 questions. We have seen participation from 5 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal. From India, we have seen participation from 19 states and 80 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. During the process, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers would be joining us, like today's speakers, to share their perspective and thoughts. So, with this, now I would request, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this session. Our moderator for the session, Rakhi Verma ma'am. Rakhi ma'am has 17 plus years of experience in the field of education. She has been a university gold medalist in postgraduate diploma in school leadership and management from IGNOU. She has also been a recipient of Global Teacher Accreditation from British Council. She has served as principal of Ryan International School, Gurugram, and Heritage Global School, Faridabad. She is also a CBSE resource person for capacity building program. Uh, you know, uh, she presented a paper in an international conference on teaching and learning at Wagner College, New York. She is also the recipient of various recognitions in the field of education, like Guru Drona Award, Shiksha Ratna Award, Indian School Award, International School Award. So our key speaker, Dr. Usha Ram ji, in fact, Usha ma'am needs no introduction. She is an eminent educationist, former principal with Lakshman Public School, Delhi. Also, the former associate director with BPS World Foundation. Dr. Usha Ram is an eminent educationist, doctorate in English literature, and ELT expert, and a recipient of a Rajya Shikshak Award and National Teachers Award from the President Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in the field of education. She has also been honored with most prestigious Super Achiever Award for her contribution to the field of education. She was also awarded the Derozio Award 2013 in recognition of exemplary services to special education and enrichment of humanity. She has always been actively involved with CBSE for last 3 decades in the curriculum planning and development of English textbooks. She presented a paper on inclusive education at Harvard School of Education, Boston, USA. She also presented a paper on health and education in association with WHO or Southeastern countries at Bali, Indonesia. We welcome you, Usha ma'am. It's a huge honor to have you as a speaker. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Our next key speaker, Sujata Vaichal ma'am. Sujata ma'am is principal with Shivalik Ganges Public School, Haridwar, Uttarakhand. She is a MSc Physics, also did MA. She has 3 decades plus experience in education. She has been recognized and awarded for her contribution to the field of education many times. We welcome you, Sujata ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next key speaker, Ms. Nidhi Chawla. Nidhi ji is an assistant professor with SRM University, Haryana.
खोल
She
के
uh,
बोलिए।
received She received her MTech degree in computer science and engineering from Deenbandhu Choturam University of Science and Technology. Prior to that, she also worked with JECRC University, Jaipur. She has more than 6 years of teaching experience in various institutions. She has attended many international and national conferences, seminars, and participated in FDP from ENICT Academy, IIT Roorkee. Her area of interest includes deep learning, machine learning, data mining, and data analytics. She is also a certified trainer on associate analytics approved by NASCOM and NSDC. Apart from teaching, she has been handling various responsibilities at SRM University, such as internship coordinator of MHRD Innovation Cell, NESCOM Future Skill Platform Coordinator, and NPTEL SPOC, a single point of contact. We welcome you, Nidhi ma'am. Thank you for joining. Our
Thank
next key
you.
speaker, welcome Nidhi ji. Our next key speaker, Mr. Sunil Dangi. Sunil ji is co-founder and CEO of eMango Solutions. Sunil ji is an IIT graduate. He's having master's degree in mathematics and scientific computing. He's also the part of Institute of Actuary United Kingdom. He has worked with institutions like ICIC Prudential, HSBC, Financial Risk Advisor at Ernst& Young, India, United Kingdom. He's an entrepreneur for last 6 years in telecom, food and education sector. He is doing research on career counseling for last 2 years. Based on that research, he along with his team have come up with a wonderful product called eMango, which is a digital career counseling platform. So we welcome you, Sunilji. Thank you for joining.
Thanks,
And
Rajul.
last, welcome, sir. Our last key speaker for this session, Ms. Supriya Jadhav Rao. Supriya ji is manager with the Fatado School of Music. Fatado School of Music is India's largest music educator. It is a brand which is synonym to music in our country. It has 150-year-old rich legacy. It has been working with 200 plus leading schools of India. It has trained over 1 lakh students. It owns titles like Bandit, which is India's largest school level music competition to promote music talents across all schools. Other titles are piano concert, cadence workshops, high jump training, FSM exams, in-center recital, FSM recital. It enjoys partnerships with renowned institutions like Berklee College of Music and NMIMS School of Performing Arts. So we welcome you, Supriya. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. With this, now I would request Rakhi Verma ma'am to take over and lead us for the session. Rakhi ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Raju. A very good afternoon to the key speakers of the day and the participants who've joined us for the session. We welcome you for this 84th Leadership Talk on NEP. So before we move ahead to the formal session, I would quickly walk you through the key highlights, the key reforms which have been proposed in the policy. So kindly allow me to share my screen. Now, NEP 2020 was announced 34 years after the previous policy on education it is the first policy of the century. And we're aiming to have a very progressive of the new policy. Now, the key highlights or the key reforms which have been proposed in this policy, the first one being the pedagogical and curricular structure will now be changed from 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So the first 5 years will be the foundation stage. Now this caters to the 3 years of preschool and 2 years of classes 1 and 2. Now this is a very welcome change because it is the first policy which has included the 3 years of preschool and brought it under the purview of the Ministry of Education and the NCF. The emphasis during this stage will be laid on the early childhood care and education to help students develop social capacities, sensitivity, good behavior, courtesy, ethics, etc., and attain foundational literacy and numeracy. And joyful pedagogy has been laid emphasis on for this stage. This is followed by 3 years of preparatory stage for learners of age group 8 to 11 years. The emphasis is on introduction of formal but interactive classroom learning with activity-based pedagogy. And another major highlight for these two stages is the proposed language system. It has been proposed that the medium followed by 3 years of the middle stage for learners of age group 11 to 14 years. And vocational education will be introduced from this stage, and the subject teachers will be introduced. The discussion of more abstract concepts have been proposed. This is followed by 4 years of secondary stage, 14 to 18 years of learners. And the major highlight is the multidisciplinary study which has been introduced. So the silos of the stream system, which has been prevalent till now, it will be dissolved, and the children will have greater flexibility in picking up the subjects they want to take. Experiential learning has been laid a lot of emphasis for all the stages. Vocational courses like carpentry, electric work, gardening, pottery, etc., will be introduced from class 6 onwards. Hands-on learning has been emphasized upon. Art integrated, sports integrated, storytelling pedagogies to be picked up. Bagless days have been encouraged. Topic centered and project based clubs and circles to be introduced in all the schools. Like science, list has been given from which the schools can pick up the circles they want to introduce. Now, in case of assessment and exams, the board exams, they will have lesser stakes now, and the board examination structure will be redesigned, because the aim is that the exam should test the application of knowledge and not just rote learning by the student. The standards of board examination will be set by an assessment body, PARAK, the Performance Assessment Review and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development. The students will be able to choose many of the subjects in which they want to take board examination depending on their individualized interests, and they will be allowed to take board examination on up to two occasions during any given school year. So one will be the main exam and the other one can be given for improvement. And students will take up examination conducted by an appropriate authority in classes 3, 5 and 8. Now this is also another major introduction, that even in classes 3, 5 and 8 we have a centralized examination system. Now the aim behind this is to check the learning outcomes at early stage so that proper remediation can be provided. The progress cards will also be redesigned, because with the new education policy, we are talking about end-to-end transformation. So the progress cards will also be redesigned. They will be holistic, covering 360-degree area of the child's personality. It will be a multi-dimensional report reflecting the progress and uniqueness of the learner, and it will cover cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. It will include self-assessment, peer assessment, mentor assessment, and the progress of the child in various activities. Also, there are certain reforms. A national testing agency will offer a common aptitude test. Now, this test will be applicable or make the child eligible for admission in all the higher education institutions. A multidisciplinary bachelor's degree with multiple exit option will be available, so that because of any reason if child has to drop out, so depending on the time the student has spent, the child will be awarded a certificate after 1 year of study, diploma after 2 years, degree after 3 years, and degree with research credit after 4 years. Now similarly there are multiple entry options also, because an academic credit bank will be created, and depending on the credits the child has accumulated, the child can pick up from wherever he left. The MPhil courses will be discontinued, and IITs also to make changes embracing diversity of learning. So these are some of the reforms which have been proposed, and I now request our speakers to kindly give their opening remarks, any point that they found very laudable about the policy, or any concern that they have regarding the practicality or implementation regarding the policy. And I request all the speakers to kindly restrict to a time limit of around 1 minute. So I request Dr. Usha Ram ma'am, if we can have your opening remarks.
I would like to say that, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And I would just like to talk about what Prime Minister talked on 12th January at the valedictory function of the National Youth Parliament, festivals. He said that the government is building an ecosystem that will give better opportunities to the youth of India. And he said NEP is focused on individual development by providing flexibility in the course structure, which we will be taking up in detail once I start my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We look forward to hearing from you. And I now request Madam Sujata Vaichal. Ma'am, if we can have your opening remarks.
Good afternoon, all of you. I'm Sujata from Shivalik Ganges Public School, Hardwar. So this is the very good step taken by the by the government of India. And I shall be speaking on the removal of linguistic barrier till primary classes, when I'll get the chance to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Madam Nidhi Chawla. Ma'am, if we can have your opening remarks. can have your opening remarks.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nidhi Chawla, Assistant Professor from SRM University, Delhi NCR, Sonipat. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing me. And I think it is a great initiative which is taken by School Allergy and Indian International Education Council for organizing a leadership talk on the national education policy. And today I'm going to give presentation on how SRM University has adopted Education 4.0 and national education policy. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sunil
Mr.
ji, you are
Sunil,
mute. Sunil ji, sir, yes, sir. You're audible now.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy about the new education policy, and I'm going to talk about the extra wings which has been given to the students and how they can use those wings effectively. That's basically the career counseling is required to use the opportunity and the openness which has been provided by the new education policy, and I am going to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Madam Supriya Jadhav Rao, ma'am, if we can hear from you, your opening remarks.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm Supriya from Furtado School of Music. Thank you for giving us this opportunity in this, the NEP talk session. And I think we're very excited to see inclusion of vocational studies in the NEP 2020. It's, I think, going to be a big step towards a child's holistic development. And I'll be talking more about a little bit about music and what Furtado School of Music has to offer in terms of music and the curriculum.
Thank you, ma'am. We look forward to hearing from you in detail. Now we move on to the formal deliberation about NEP. I'll reach out to the speakers one by one, and I request you to kindly restrict to around 8 to 9 minutes when you talk, so that we have enough time towards the end for the question answer session. We have received a lot of questions which we would like you to answer. So I first request Dr. Usha Ram, ma'am, if we can hear from you, please.
Yeah, hi once again. A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm going to speak on naturally on NEP, New Education Policy 2020. But I'll try to give the highlights. I made the points, and hopefully that should suffice. And if there's any questions, we can take it up later on. Now, friends, it's a very progressive education policy. It talks about universalization of education. It's a vision document approved by cabinet. NEP is paving way for transformational reforms in school education and higher education sector in the country. To begin with the key points of NEP, equity and inclusion. Equity to be very fair and impartial to all, and inclusion, including LDs or differently abled or different kind of students that we have. Then community participation. This is very important to involve the community into it. Wherever the school is, that particular community has to be involved into it. Then use of technology. That goes without saying now, the world is only with technology. So use of technology in a bigger way. And then it will reduce dropouts. How? Vocational education, just now what I heard, vocational education is given due importance. That is 6th class onwards, one skill-based subject has to be taken. And then, so this really brings in a kind of, reducing dropouts and all that, which I'll take it further also. Now, there's a change in school system, which just now, Rakhi ji had talked about. That is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which was not there earlier. And there's a separate learning outcomes, separate preparations for all, which was not there earlier. So 5 is the pre-primary, then the primary and the middle and the secondary, senior secondary. And then there's a special emphasis on foundation, that is uh, foundational literacy and numeracy. What is that? Academic stream, vocational stream, or any other extracurricular activity or subject all get due equal weightage and importance. This is very important for Tedo. I was just hearing from her. Now, your subject also becomes a very important, is equivalent to physics or chemistry. So the children are, there'll be less of dropouts because there's an openness in this system. And then there is assessment reforms with 360-degree, a holistic multidisciplinary education, which you just talked. Rakiji, you did talk about it. And it is progressive. There will be a progressive report card tracking cumulative record of every child with the student's progress for achieving learning outcomes. This is very important when we are talking about 360-degree holistic multidisciplinary. This becomes a, it's in the hand of the child when the child leaves, that how many activities, how many subjects. So it's a complete record from the preschool to the school leaving certificate. Then NEP promotes multilingualism in schools, that and higher education. Suggestion for teaching in mother tongue up to class 5, and it's left to the states to decide about the mother tongue. Two Indian languages are important. Now that is left to the state. For example, Tamil Nadu, they can have Tamil, and Kerala, they can have Malayalam. It's up to them to decide which language they would like to have. Then emphasis on set inclusion funds, special education zones for disadvantaged region and the groups. This is again a very welcome change. Now, experiential learning, which you were talking about, pedagogy, there's experiential learning pedagogy. It lays down a pedagogy integration with ICT, storytelling, art education, music, dance, which you just mentioned. And then there's a very important one for teachers. Now, national curriculum framework to standardize the level of teachers and improve their standards. Now, this is very important, that all the teachers all over the country should go through this kind of, a system in which they try to improve themselves. Professional standard for teachers is also very impressive to bring out the best in education. It is formulated by NCERT, that is National Council of Teachers Education, in consultation with NCERT also. So both are there. So both council as well as the NCERT together, they are working on it. And they actually prepared, it's ready. Then higher education, which I know one of our speakers is going to speak, but the student completes 1 year. Earlier, what was there, that, the child finishes 1 year, no certificate, nothing. Now, if the child finishes, suppose the student could not take it up further, 1 year, at least the student will get a certificate. This is like abroad. In foreign countries, it's like that. You do a little bit, you get a certificate, keep your marks with you. It's kept in store, and then later on, you can come back and complete. So first year, if the student does it, the student gets a certificate. Then create a store for them, keep it for 5 years or more. Student can come back to complete degree, or 2 years if they complete, then they get a diploma. If they complete all the 3 years, then they get a degree. So this is a very welcome change, which the students can really perform well, and they can look after their other responsibilities of the family also, if in case they are not able to complete their education in one go. Then, what is very important, friends, that we have to change our mindset. Especially teachers or educators, we have to unlearn and then relearn. We should understand that every child is unique. Now, they are unique in themselves, and the teachers must upgrade themselves in ICT, virtual classroom training, digital literacy is very, very important. And then self-learning. We have to have self-learning by the teachers and the self-learning by the students. Self-learning is very, very, a positive way of looking at it. And then the core competencies and the learning outcomes are very, very important. We have to see ultimately what are we doing. Have we really brought in that core competencies which were required? What we talked about at the third level, at the fifth level, at the eighth level, and then the senior secondary level. And then now it's all framed, it's all ready. And to bring that focus is also a very, very welcome change. And the teachers, They have to upgrade themselves. They have to really work hard. Though I always call my teachers as warriors. They have really immediately, once in March, it was decided that the schools are closed. They all, earlier it was not there. They all came up with the virtual classrooms and they started preparing. If you see today's timetable, these days the teachers from morning till evening, they are busy. Morning time, they have their own classes, then they have to prepare themselves, then they have to meet the coordinators, they have to meet the principal, they have to have sessions with the parents. PTMs are there, and then the music, dance, art, all classes are going on. The physical education. It's a wonderful way the teachers are doing it. Though I won't say that it's the best of it, but then whatever the circumstances are, it's not the whole country, all the people, those who have that, connections, internet connection, and they are able to do it, that's fine. But there are others who are not able to do. But I think it's very important. We have to see that everybody gets this benefit. For that, government needs to look into, and they should go into detail. But when it comes to NEP, it's a very, very progressive, program. And after 34 years, as you said, it has come up, but it should be taken seriously. And I'm sure it's going to bring about a big, big change in our educational system. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your very
I think
insightful
I've done it in a very short time, but I thought we can take more of question answer.
No, I really appreciate that in such short time also you've been able to touch all the facets and you've brought in a lot of clarity to all of us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I now request Madam Sujata Vachal, ma'am, if we can hear from you, your thoughts and insights about the policy.
Right. Thank you, Rakhi ma'am, for giving me this chance to speak up. So I will be speaking on the removal of the linguistic barrier in education policy. Just give me a moment to share my screen. So, as we all know that the language is just a mode of communication and expressing us through sound and the written symbols. Teaching in a mother tongue or the local language. According to a new guideline, new education policy to 2020, students would have to study in their regional languages up to class 5 and then shift in English medium for higher studies, or it is up to their wish to. No language is to be imposed for the education. And this, I think this is the drastic and seismic change in teaching and learning process. Mother tongue is the key education, knowledge, science, and English learning. The NEP's move to teaching in mother tongue could transform teaching and learning in India. Amendments in the education system of our country were long awaited. The introduction of the teaching in mother tongue, local language up to class 5 is a great step. It's a great surprise too for those who think that English is only the need for today in the globalized world. In fact, NEP is not deducting or removing any language. Now, mother tongue, why in education? It is for children to learn better and faster too, because it will be easier for them to speak and to understand or to read in a language that they speak at their home. They will stay in school for longer, their self-confidence will also increase, and further, the participation of parents will also increase, the social economic benefits will rise. Further, we can also see that teaching in mother tongue or the local language connects, strengthens our roots, develop a sense of belongingness, develops better understanding, removes the hesitation of child for not able to express himself properly in another language. It also saves from extinction as help to preserve our cultural roots deepens our understanding of heritage. We can also see the advantages of learning through mother tongue. It minimizes the burden of the student, saves cost and time. Further, it is, I mean, as I said earlier also, that it is very easy for a child to understand. And as the student's thinking or whatever he thinks, he sees, it is all through his mother tongue language. So that will enhance his critical thinking too. Learning in mother tongue, local language, will ensure faster learning as well as will retain too. Further, removal of linguistic barrier will also encourage the parents to actively participate in child's learning. The triangle bond between school, parents, child development will become stronger. It is because sometimes the parents hesitate. In some English medium school, especially in rural areas, the parents hesitate to participate. They are to attend the parent-teacher meeting. It is because they hesitate that they won't be able to speak in English. So that is why they just ignore these things. But they don't understand that involvement of parents too is very, very much important for the child's development. Now, after the removal of the linguistic barrier, I think the parents initiative, parents interest will also develop, and they will or they will help in the child's development. Now, because of not understanding the topic in another language, a child loses its interest in studying and leaves studies on the halfway. Removal of linguistic barrier will decrease the rate of dropouts. It will be easier for other dropouts too to come to the mainstream with others. Finally, it's also a big boon for many teachers too, especially as I said in rural areas. Many teachers who have not studied through English medium, they are not comfortable in spoken English. And this is a big hindrance in their explanations. The interest, enthusiasm, and their creativity will enhance when they teach in their local language. And this is a very important part from the side of a teacher. As our mind has to retain tons of new information daily, the multi-language learning will make higher mental LTV. There will be much scope for the understanding, critical development, and critical thinking, and the development, or we can say that to their skill development in a child, as well as it will help the teacher also. That is also what I think, that these are my views regarding the removal of the linguistic barrier or the education in particular language. And I think this is a very good move by the government. Thanks, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Indeed, it was a very important topic to take up, actually, because language has become most debatable when it concerns NEP. There have been a lot of apprehensions and doubts about the native language becoming the mode of instruction. So thank you so much for taking this topic and bringing in some clarity. Definitely, language should never become an impeding factor for a child's education. And this move is going to take care of it. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights and thoughts.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I now request Madam Nidhi Chawla, ma'am, if we can have your views.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Give me 1 minute to share my screen. Yeah, my screen is visible to you, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is the right initiative which is taken by our Union Cabinet after 34 years, and it aims to reorient our education system toward meeting the needs of 21st century. And this national education policy helps students to develop scientific temper from young age, and it aims to set up new quality of higher education institute which will be according to the global standard. So hence there will be more focus on the key concepts, ideas, application, and problem solving concept. So in this slide, so we can see like at a school level, like I have heard coding has been introduced at level 6 and core skill based subject has been introduced. So in the same way for the higher education, there is multiple entry and exit option, and there will be technology based option for learning. So student can go for online and offline, whatever the certificate they want. And there is a very robust idea for academic bank of credit. So one can transfer the credit if he or she can change the college or university, and student can get certificate after 1 year, 2 years, and the 3 years. And one important thing is the curriculum has been developed in such a way that there will be an interdisciplinary approach. So so one student who is from computer science background and want to learn from the electronics and electrical background, so it can be collaborated. So this is a very great idea. So NEP, it offered the choices, chances, and changes. And the main aim of NEP is to attract the foreign universities in India so that we can do more research work. We can invite other university for the collaboration, and there will be more research work on the innovation part and the patent part. So in this slide, you can see we are right now our IITs are on the 170 to 185 ranking, but in this you can see the students are more attracted toward the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Stanford University. So so with this we can stop our creamy layer to go abroad and they can do the research work here. So this is the main aim, that foreign universities should come here and establish themselves in this country. And for national education policy, Industry 4.0 and Education 4.0 play a very important role, because right now we are living in the era of Industry 4.0 that really focus on the smart technology, artificial intelligence, and robotics. So Education 4.0 is the necessary response to the requirement of Industry 4.0. In fact, it is the future of education that consists technology. So there will be more focus on the personalized learning, remote learning opportunities, project-based learning, and choice of education tool. So so in that way, we have to prepare our students so that they will go in the industry and establish themselves, and they will learn more. Whatever they will study in the universities, they can apply that knowledge in the industries. So technology play a very important role in education. So for all the learning assessments, we have requirement of technology. We are using artificial intelligence, IoTs, cloud computing. So many technologies are has been used by the teachers. So it's education 4.0. In fact, students are also using education 4.0. So in the same way, what other things we can adopt in education? This is already included in the NEP also, the MOOC, massive open online courses, the virtual lab. So we so if physically not present, then we can teach our student with the virtual lab. So online assessment, examination, everything can happen on the digital board. So the technology, why technology play important role in the education? So you can see here the AI tutor, AI chatbot, that's really play important role in education, because there are so many activities like grading system can be done with the help of artificial intelligence. Student can get additional support from AI tutors, as well as there are so many AI driven programs that can give students and educators helpful feedbacks. And next technology, that is virtual and augmented reality. So it can be used to enhance student learning and engagement, because it is really required if we really want digital infrastructure. So first we have to adopt the technology in our education system. The main thing is the India has to become the super power hub, the global power hub, we can say. So for this we have to develop such kind of infrastructure for our students. So we have to adopt IoT and cloud computing, because if you want to connect our students and more collaborative future for education, so we have to uh, establish these things in our universities, in our schools, so that learning can be easily available and there will be better access to everything, to all the materials. So this is kind of the 21st century smart classroom, the digital infrastructure, digital classroom, digital learning. So so these things are really required so that students can learn and they will apply the knowledge. So how SRM University has adopted Education 4.0, that's really important. Our university is very well-renowned university, and we are already affiliated with the IIT in Haryana, and our university is the first university which is powered by NASCOM Future Skill. So it means our students, like if in our university we have 3,000 students, so these 3,000 students have given the platform where where the students can learn any technology. So the technology like cloud computing, IoT, robotics, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, so students are able to learn any course. So they are not restricted to just university, but the area has been has been become more broader, and they can learn anything whatever is happening in the industry and the companies and the enterprises and the business areas. So student can learn anything anywhere, and moreover we provide internship, mentorship, and project facility to our students, because every year they have to go to the industry and they will get the internship, so that they will learn what exactly is happening in the industry. So more and more students are going for the internship, for making their projects, for the minor projects and the major projects. And students are also playing important role for this, for the designing of syllabus and curriculum, because right now what they are studying and what is actually need of our like artificial intelligence, IoT, these things should be added into the curriculum. So according to their expertise, the things they are actually learning in the internship, we are going to add these things in our curriculum and syllabus also. And one important thing that our university has adopted choice-based credit system. It is the opportunity for students to choose courses from prescribed courses. So the core elective subjects and skill-based courses, it can be chosen by the students. So the main benefit is that it can provide easy mode of mobility. So with facility of transfer credits, and there is more focus on the grading system rather than the conventional mark system. And next important thing that we have adopted, that is the Bloom's taxonomy. So we just want to encourage higher order thoughts in our students by using the lower level cognitive skills. And in the same way, we have designed our question papers that will pay more focus on the deep thinking part, so that students will apply their knowledge, and then they will apply their knowledge for some case studies as well as some of the project part. And in this perspective, we have done alliance with the very renowned industries leaders, that is IBM, Xebian, NASCOM, TCS, so that we can impart knowledge to the students related to industrial oriented courses. So we you can see in the slide we have so many courses. The main benefit of these courses is that the trainers from the IBM, TCS, Xavier, they will come and they will train the students, so that student will get the knowledge about all the industry related softwares. And moreover, myself, I'm also getting the training from these IBM trainers also. So the main purpose is not only the students, but the faculty will also get be trained, so that we can impart the updated knowledge to our students. And in this aspect, SLM University have introduced one center of excellence that consists so many labs related to different departments. It's for the biomedical department, for the electronics department, mechanical department. So this is really a good opportunity for all of us, because it will give us the exposure to understand what exactly happening in the industries. And another laboratory we have established that is totally for the research based perspective. So those who are PhD students, they're actually discovering the new drugs in our university. So this is the really good opportunity that we are providing our students, so they will involve more in the research part, innovation part. And important thing is, we are not restricting our students to only for just we are teaching, but we are providing some additional courses, that is massive open online courses, and student can learn anywhere, not only from India but from different universities. So there are so many courses on the Coursera edX, so we have done collaborations so that student can get a lot of knowledge, whatever they want, whatever the skill they want, they can go for it and learn from any platform, because we have done collaboration. In the same way, IITs and IIC, that is NPTEL and SWIM courses. And the last thing is, we want that our students will pay more focus on the startup part and the entrepreneurship part. So for this, we have established MHRD innovation cells, so that student will participate in the Smart India Hackathon, the problems which is given by the government, so student can provide the solution to the government. And in the same way, we know that we have banned so many applications of the China. So in this perspective, we want to provide different applications to our government, so that government will introduce applications from India. So this is the thing. And one important recently that has been introduced the concept, that is toycathon. So in this we are providing our opportunity to the students, so they will give some ideas how to develop the games and the toys, so that we will boom in the industries of toys and gaming. So that is the thing, the more and more opportunities we are providing, so that we want our university, and we want our India will become superpower hub. So thank you so much. It is done from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing with us the futuristic approach that SRM University is adopting to update themselves. And definitely, the students are being trained to be better acclimatized to the 21st century skills. Thank you so much for sharing your views, ma'am. I now invite Mr. Sunil Dangi to share his deliberation and thoughts with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I'll start with that. It is very difficult to find out what I want to do in my life. It is one of the toughest question that to know that how what could be the right career for me, and then and there exist scientific ways to have the answer to this question. So, and another part is that NEP requires to keep lots of record of the students, like his related to the holistic performances and his aptitude and everything. So we are developing a